Most tax pros leave a message.
It's Jane. I'm moving on to a TurboTax expert who beat your price. Adam Devine, tell him how I feel.
Hey, tax pro, she's been thinking twice. Best believe TurboTax will beat your price. This is a tax break.
Switch to a TurboTax Live expert and we'll beat what you paid your pro last tax season. Make the switch at TurboTax.com/beatyourprice. TurboTax full service only. Sign up by 12/20/2024 and file by 4/1/2025. Full details at TurboTax.com/beatyourprice.
Hello, fellow gamers, and welcome to the Video Gamers Podcast. We've got a jam-packed episode for you today. We're covering the upcoming releases of Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred, the Silent Hill 2 remake, plus Throne and Liberty just released.
Oh!
And we've got the Sony State of Play, which just happened, and the showstopper announcement of Ghost of Tsushima 2, plus Ubisoft may have finally made a smart decision when it comes to gaming. But first, some introductions are in order. I am your host, Josh, and joining me, he's the guy you'll hear screaming, "Get away! Get away!" as he wanders the halls of Brookhaven Hospital in Silent Hill. It's Ryan.
Dude, did you hear that? What was that?
What?
Oh my.
What's that over there?
Dude, that's the thing. I don't mind zombies. I don't mind chaos. I don't mind blood and gore and guts. Any of that stuff. It's the jump scares. That's what gets me. Every time. I know they are coming, and a jump scare will make me scream like a 12-year-old girl.
Dude, it's more like the psychological stuff that gets me and the creepiness, gore. I've seen all that before, man. You're not freaking me out because there's some blood and guts, laying around or something like that. But man, you give me that creepy, I don't know what's around this corner. Oh my goodness, what is that? Like that's where they get me. But listen, we're going to talk about the Silent Hill 2 remake. We're covering the games that are releasing this week in this episode. We're going to talk about Throne and Liberty because by the time this episode releases, that game is out as well. So we're going to put that on your radar. And we've got a couple news stories to cover as well. But first, some very quick housekeeping for everybody. Ryan, one of the things we love to do is we love to give shout outs for people that help support this podcast. And we have a new rare supporter.
Oh, there we go.
I'm just going to say this name as a dad because it's.
He was practicing this before we started, by the way.
I may have gone through this list of letters, but the name is actually IADPADDAAD, otherwise known as Dale, who signed up to support the show.
All right.
So thank you. We're just going to call you Dale at this
Thank you, Dale. Yeah.
Oh, man. But Ryan, listen, we are an independent podcast. We do all of this on our own time and dime. And so the support from the listeners is paramount to keeping this podcast going. And that's why we like to give a shout out to people to just say, hey, we really do appreciate it. And everybody else out there really appreciates it as well. But if somebody is so inclined and they want to support the show, where would they go?
Well, there's this crazy website called multiplayersquad.com. You can go there. You can sign up. If you want to give us a little bit of support, you get a lot of cool perks on the Discord, early access to episodes, maybe some other thing in the works. We're kind of, Josh and I are working some things out. So we're talking about things and seeing what we can make happen. But anything you guys can do, we really appreciate it. We just love to bring this cool content to everybody. We're just a couple of regular dad gamers that love to just talk video games. So we're here. If you appreciate what we do, multiplayersquad.com. We appreciate everything. Anyone can contribute. So that's all there is.
Yeah. And honestly, if you can't contribute, monetarily to help keep things going, one of the best things you can do is you can tell a friend about the show. You can also rate the show 5 stars. So whatever app you're listening on right now, you can pause the episode. You can go, you know what? Yeah, I forgot to rate these guys. And you can rate us 5 stars. That helps us out as well. All right, Ryan, we've got a lot to talk about today.
We do.
Man, it's actually a big week for gaming news and releases.
We actually have news this week? Really?
I know, man. It makes it much better when we have things to talk about. Let's start with the game releases because I mean, what's better than a game that you've been hyped for that's releasing? We are going to cover the games that are releasing this week. So from the time this episode releases to the time our next This Week in Gaming releases a week later, these are the games that are coming out that you need to be aware of. Let's just start in order, Ryan.
All right.
So Throne and Liberty. This game is an MMO. It has been out for a while overseas, but it is getting its United States release and Europe as far as that goes for our brothers and sisters across the pond. We had a chance to play this beta. I want to say it was like 5-6 months ago almost.
We did. It was a while. I was watching the trailer of the gameplay and I'm like, wait, I did this. Yeah, I know this.
This seems familiar, right? Yeah. Like, why do I know this game? So Throne and Liberty is an MMO. We dove into the beta. We actually covered it on a Twig episode many, many months ago. Well, it's time. It is releasing October 1st. So we're recording this episode on September 30th. So the game is coming out tomorrow.
Oh.
This game is one that people need to take a look at because one of our takeaways from this might be the best looking MMO I have ever seen. Does that ring a bell, Ryan? Because the graphics and the presentation on this game are top notch.
It does ring a bell. Watching, in the beginning, you kind of are in an enclosed area. It doesn't really kind of ring true with how kind of substantial these graphics are. Once you get out into the open and you see the open world, that's when it really takes off. So once it got to that level in that trailer and I'm, remembering all the spots that I had already played, it really, you see everything and you see the depth and the color and the pop and the kind of almost like vastness of the world. It just was big.
And then you think it's a cutscene, and then the game just kind of does that thing where the camera swings around behind your character.
It's like, and then you're playing.
Like, oh, wait, this is the game?
Yeah, this is the game. And then you
start running around, and you're like, whoa!
Yeah.
Like, all right. I will say that, this game is one of those like MMOs where they actually give you an actual skill bar with, 8 to 10 skills on it. This whole trend of like, we're only going to give you 3 skills to play around with, thankfully does not exist in this game. This game also seems to respect your time. I know the letters, is that a word? MMO? Those are letters.
It's got to be, I don't know. It's got to be categorized as a word now. MMO.
Right?
It's an MMO.
It's,
yeah, it's
that's
an
a
MMO.
word. We're going with word.
Yeah, it's a word.
Anyway, the letters MMO can be daunting to people because they go, I don't have time for that, man. I just don't have 1,000-hour time sink in me. This game actually does respect your time. I remember one of our takeaways from this as well is like anytime you hit the sprint button, you turn into this super cool like lion or cheetah or something. And that's how you kind of traverse the world. And then if you need to go far, you can actually turn into like an eagle and stuff as well. Combat, my takeaways and what I remember on this is combat was a lot of fun, and it's based on the weapons that you have equipped, but you can actually equip 2 different weapons. So you can almost multi-class in I don't know, however many permutations that is, but it's a lot. So you can play it that way. Beautiful game, free to play. Is this something that's on your radar, Ryan?
Because it's free to play, it is.
Yeah. It's worth diving into at least.
Yeah,
right?
at least taking a look at it. I personally, maybe wasn't as high on the combat. I thought it kind of, I don't know, it just didn't seat my palate as well. But I think overall it looks good. I think they put a lot of work into it. One thing that drives me absolutely crazy is like the main character, your protagonist that doesn't speak. When you have your cutscene and they're like, hey, let's go over to this side. And then it goes to him and he's just like,
he just nods.
And he just nods and it just gives the text, it's like, oh, okay, like, come on, you can put some sort of dialogue there and voice, overtones there. I don't know. That's the one part that bugs me, but
it is a little, it takes you out of it almost.
It's just like, come on, what do you mean he's not going to say a word? He's a mute. It doesn't make sense. But I know it's in a lot of games. It's just a personal preference. But overall, like I said, the combat looks okay. The graphics are awesome. The world looks awesome. I've been itching for a really good MMO, getting into that kind of world of just a deep crafting experience with combat, experience with traveling, all of those things that an MMO brings. So, maybe this will be the one, and then you can try it for no harm, no foul. It's free. So
yeah, we've been saying for a long time that we are really hungry for that MMO that we can really just get sucked into. I don't know if this is the one, but I think I'm going to try and test it out a little bit to see if it's the one. I mean, we played 2-3 hours of the beta, and that was pretty impressive. So that's enough for me to say, hey, I think I'll dive back in a little bit, see if it can get its hooks in me. But, this is your, public service announcement that if you are looking for a free-to-play game, this game is fully fledged. Like I said, it's been out for a long time overseas. So definitely check out Throne and Liberty if it sounds like it's up your alley. Ryan, a game that I know is much more up your alley is a little game called Diablo.
What?
Not even death can save you from me.
Yeah, and Diablo 4, now I know you've been playing a lot of Diablo 2, but let's skip to the future here, Ryan. Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred. This is the first official expansion of Diablo 4. They've been touting it for a while. That releases on October 8th. We've kind of dug into this a good bit. You're our resident Diablo 4 expert, not to put you on the spot. I really love Diablo games, but I would say that your love and passion of them kind of trumps mine. So are you excited for Vessel of Hatred?
As much as I love Diablo 2, and I'm still playing, and I'm probably not going to stop playing, it's just one of those games that's just a perfect game. I'm actually really, really, really excited to get back into Diablo 4. The trailer was awesome.
Yeah.
The new character class looks really cool, super melee built. The way they have it set up, I think
that's got to have like some kind of unique name to it, right?
Oh yeah, something that's never been heard before. I think it's like something born, spirit born or something. There's never been like a there's never been like a born thing before, right?
What's with the man? That's so unique. Like not a dragonborn or like a spaceborn
or any other born,
windborn, right?
Devs, quit calling your characters born. All right, we get it. Just come up with another name.
Come up with something.
Make
cool,
some
man.
other just crazy name, and then just use that. We don't have to call everything something born.
Okay, you could have called this the Primalist, which would have sounded way cooler than
Spiritborn
that's a good
at
this point, because that's kind of what it is.
The only Bourne is Jason Bourne.
Facial recognition got a hit. Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne.
That's exactly right, and nobody messes with Jason Bourne. So, I mean, Vessel of Hatred comes with all of the flair that Blizzard is known for. You mentioned the trailer is just over the top. Some of the things for me, I loved Diablo 4 from a campaign perspective, not so much from this like continuing seasons MMO-ish type game.
Yeah.
Played the campaign, loved it, dabbled in some of the end game content, so to speak, and then kind of just fizzled out after that. I will say I really enjoyed what I played. So Vessel of Hatred is kind of like pinging on my radar. I think what I like the most is that it's bringing more variety to the different characters. Every class is getting a new ability. You have this new character with the Spiritborn that's coming out. You've got new regions, new dungeons, what do they call that? A party finder tool. It's just more content, right? I mean, that's what you're paying for. That's what you're getting in this case. But one of my complaints with Diablo 4 was always the lack of build diversity. In the skills that they give you. And I kind of even poked fun that it's like, hey, you get 3 abilities, and it's like, oh, come on, man. Like, don't dumb a game down. Like, I can handle it, I promise. But it does seem like, hey, you know what? We've got a new ability for everybody. This is going to introduce new builds and stuff like that. The new class will be a lot of fun to play. So you think you're diving in on this one?
I think so. I've had a few of my friends that I used to play Destiny with or other games. They've been on with the new updates for Diablo for a while. They're far ahead of me of where I'd be, but I have to catch up. But I think with the new updates, it's something to check out. Definitely. I mean, there's a lot of revamped progression. There's new runes and rune words they're putting in, which is awesome because that's, call back to like stuff with Diablo 2. With the dungeons and the pits and stuff, they kind of almost swapped the rewards for the nightmare dungeons now and stuff. They give masterworking mats, and then the pits give your glyph experience. So, and then you had mentioned every class gets a new ability. So there's a lot of cool things that are coming out with it. I think there's a lot of content that is really cool. A ton of videos and people talking about it that I've watched said that the storyline is actually going to be pretty neat that they're putting in here with this new kind of class and everything. So I don't know. I'm excited. I think I'll definitely check it out. It's a Diablo game. I know I'm not the biggest Blizzard guy anymore, but Diablo still has a big time place in my heart. So I may have to take a break from hardcore Diablo 2 runs and check out Diablo 4.
Yeah, I think for me, and this sounds weird, but I have heard that they have made a lot of improvements since Diablo 4 released to the gear system and a lot of this other stuff. And I'll be honest, for anybody that's listening, and it's like, Josh doesn't know what he's talking about. I haven't played since release. So all the seasons and the upgrades to the gear and stuff, I know that people have said, hey, it's a lot better. If I get into this, I know I'm going to enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where it's like, am I willing to commit to Diablo 4 as the game that I'm going to be playing for like the next month? Because I do think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, especially for somebody like me that played it when it came out and then just kind of drifted away from it. I feel like this would be a ton of new content and fun for them as well. So again, that comes out October 8th. The price on Vessel of Hatred is $39.99, so this is not a cheap expansion in the grand scheme of things. So hopefully there is enough content there to warrant the $40 price tag. All right, we've got another big release coming up, but we do have to take a short break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the Silent Hill 2 remake, baby.
If you're an athlete, you know the greatest motivator of all is the fear of letting your teammates down. After all, a team is only as good as its weakest link. So you owe it to those wearing the same jersey as you to be your best every time you step on the field. That's why there's no vape in team. When you vape, you can expose your lungs to toxic chemicals that can damage your lungs. If you're a step behind, the team's a step behind. Brought to you by The Real Cost and the FDA.
All right, we are back. This might be the one that actually I'm most excited for a game release that's coming out this week. Diablo 4, I think, is going to be a ton of fun. It's, that I don't worry about in that regard. But Silent Hill 2, the remake, also releases on October 8th. So they're saying, you know what? We're willing to take on Blizzard, man.
You mean they're not going to delay their game?
Yeah, no. Who's scared of Blizzard? Diablo 4, that's just an expansion, man. We're a remake. Remakes trump expansions, right?
I think that's how it works.
But listen, so the Silent Hill 2 remake is available on PC and PS5. So Xbox people, we are sorry. This is another kind of thing, a trend that we're seeing, but at least it's coming out on PC also. But this game was remade kind of from the ground up. And I got to be honest, man, it looks good. This is one of those remakes that I think is actually going to be really good. All of the Resident Evil 4 remake, all of the Dead Space remake that we've seen lately. Like, there actually have been some really good remakes over the last year or so. And I am betting that Silent Hill 2 is going to be one of those. Did you ever play the old Silent Hill games?
I remember dabbling a little bit, just, going to friends' houses and stuff as a kid. But I never had a copy myself, I don't believe. Man, these zombie jump scares just get me, man. I'll go play with other people, but I'm not going to play by myself, so I don't need to have it at my house.
This is one I almost want to try to play together.
Yeah, I know, right?
Could to just watch you play it.
Paul would be very excited.
Yeah, you would. So I played the Silent Hill games, but I'll be honest, it's been a long time, man. Yeah. I mean, these are old PlayStation games. I played 1, I played 2. They kind of blur together for me. So when I was watching some of this gameplay footage in the trailer for the Silent Hill 2 remake, it was weird because I started like, it just accessed like the recesses of my brain where it's like, oh yeah, I remember the hospital.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It's the creepy nurses and that weird thing that crawls through the window. And oh, what is that, man?
Isn't that crazy how you can not think of something for 20 years and in 15 years, and then all of a sudden a little thing sparks it up and you can just imagine everything that you went through.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so, you know, I think that this is going to be one of those top-notch remakes. It does make me wonder because horror games have come a long way. You know, over the last, I don't know how long Silent Hill came out, 20 years ago. And so I do wonder, does the horror elements, does the suspense and, you know, the fear come through in today's day and age of gaming? Now, I will say that graphically, this game is absolutely up to date. We kind of saw it. We worried about, you know, hey, Resident Evil 4, does the gameplay hold up? And the answer was resoundingly, absolutely, yes, it does. And I kind of think maybe Silent Hill 2 will follow that trend because the game itself was just so good. But yeah, this was another one that we wanted to put on people's radars because if there was ever an epic game that, you know, would warrant a remake being done the right way, Silent Hill 2 is definitely one of those. I mean, a lot of people are split whether Silent Hill is the best one or Silent Hill 2 is the best one. Silent Hill 2 probably is the best one because they just kind of perfected the formula there. And no, you don't need to have played the first Silent Hill to appreciate it. So this isn't one where it's like, oh, I need to steer clear because I just never played the original game either. But this is one of those games where, you know, we're probably not playing it on release, but, you know, 4 or 5 months down the road, you get a break in gaming and you go, oh man, I forgot about Silent Hill 2. Let me pick that up. And then all of a sudden you're going, why did I wait this long to play this game, man? This thing is great.
Yeah, especially with the revamped graphics and everything. I'll tell you what though, if some little kid calls me a fart face and locks me in a room with like a giant crazy zombie,
trouble.
The next time I see that kid, he's getting yeeted off, you know, the building into a pit of zombies. Like,
dude, that character was so calm where he's like, there's something in the room with me. Please let me out. Yeah. I would be punching that door being like, you better let me out right now, man. Like, yeah, I don't have that kind of calm collectedness when there's some kind of monster about to just destroy me.
Yeah, and then just a little girl just running through an empty hospital with zombies everywhere, you know.
Fearless, too.
And even in the beginning, you know, if people, once you watch the trailer and stuff, you'll know, but this is the one thing with these zombie or scary type games, when he's walking and you see just a stream of blood running into the garage, and there's a hole in the garage door, and he crawls in through the hole. Like, I would never, ever.
That's when you nope out.
Yeah, nope.
Yes.
Nope. See ya. I'm out of here.
Oh, man. All right. Well, listen, that covers, and I did mention it once, but again, Silent Hill 2 Remake releases on October 8th for PS5 and on Steam for PC. Right, let's get into some news. We do actually have the Sony State of Play. So this was actually a big week for news. I know a lot of people were excited for the State of Play. We get all kinds of game reveals and trailers and announcements and all this stuff. What's your overall feelings on this State of Play, Ryan?
Wait, we're supposed to get all that good stuff that you just mentioned?
Yeah, we were supposed to get all kinds of awesome game announcements and reveals and like just probably 10 things to be super hyped for, right?
Oh, I'm sure. There's not only maybe one or two things that anyone actually cares about.
You know, but you know, hey, when you have a really big announcement, it warrants creating a whole event for it.
Right.
So, I mean, okay, you won't say it, I'll say it. I thought this was pretty disappointing State of Play. Now, obviously, the huge reveal for Sony during the State of Play was Ghost of Tsushima 2, the Ghost of Yotei. I think I'm saying that right.
I was actually going to ask, how do we say it?
I don't know. We're going with Yotei, buddy, because that's how I said it at first.
Sounds good to me. All right, let's roll with
Ghost of Yotei. I'm assuming that following the naming of Ghost of Tsushima, that Yotei is an island in Japan somewhere. If it's nearly as beautiful as Tsushima, then I'm in. We saw gameplay footage. This game looks incredible. Ghost of Tsushima, phenomenal game. You and I are both huge fans. We tried to get Paul to play it before he left. Hopefully, Paul, I know you're listening. Play Ghost of Tsushima. It's really good. Were you excited, blown away, disappointed? Like, what are your thoughts on this Ghost of Yotei?
I was excited, and I will say, as far as Paul goes, I hope this gets him to play it, play the first one, and then this one as well, because I was for the Force a Friend and Hijack and all those things. I played 3 games in a row. This was my pick for Paul, and it was the very next pick. And then he decides, I'm going to escape out of that. And he leaves the show. Man. So I'm like, oh, come on.
This guy really hates Ghost of Tsushima, man.
Yeah,
what do you got
I know, right?
Samurai?
I don't know what he's got against it. But anyways, it was such an amazing, unbelievable game. It's absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. There's so many scenes in it that just make you, your jaw drop, and you just sit back and just are wowed by what, the system can do. And that's not even on PC. I was playing on PlayStation when I had those feelings. So, anyone who's concerned, the original took place in 1274, and the new game takes place in 1603. So it's definitely a few hundred years after that, kind of with the setting goes, but it's continuation of absolutely crisp, beautiful gameplay, awesome executions and kills. There's like a wolf that you're running with, apparently. I have no doubt, and I have full confidence that this will be a good game.
I don't doubt that at all, man. Like, I think this game is going to be great. How do you follow up Ghost of Tsushima and then not have it be at least as good? Right? Like,
they know what to do.
The combat. Yeah, exactly. Like, the gameplay loop that people enjoyed. The setting is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. People love riding their horse through these fields of flowers and stuff like that. It's like brutally beautiful is the best way to describe Ghost of Tsushima. And I think that they've captured that from what we can see with this Ghost of Yotei. It does not follow the original Ghost of Tsushima's protagonist, Jin Sakai. There is a new lead. I don't know if they've actually named it or not. But it is a different story. And again, I think maybe you're on a different island as well. So it seems to me like the story of Ghost of Yotei will be different in its own kind of unique thing as well. So this is not necessarily like a sequel. Even though it is a sequel, like a lot of people are calling it Ghost of Tsushima 2, but it's same but different.
Yeah, same but different.
Yeah, exactly. So I know I'm hyped for that one. This was the big announcement for the Sony State of Play. I am very much looking forward to this game coming out because, like I said, you and I are both huge fans of Ghost of Tsushima. And then we get into all the other games announced in this.
Oh, there was other games, huh?
There was. And now, there's probably a few people out there listening that are like, but what about Midnight Walk, man? And then it's like, yeah, that game looked really neat. It's got a claymation art style that I think is really neat. Almost reminds me of that Harold Halibut game that came out not too long ago. Hell Is Us is the only other game where I kind of went, okay, well, this kind of seems different and unique, but they didn't really show off enough of it to like raise my hype meter.
Yeah,
on that one.
I feel you on that.
I know. I mean, Arcade Chronicles look like a fun. It's the Arcade series / it's been around forever. This is like a combat focused, simpler version or something of that. And then Ryan, I think the other one that you were excited about was Horizon Zero Dawn is getting a remaster where they really did up the graphical quality of that game and kind of brought it into the like Forbidden West category of how good those visuals are. Did you played Zero Dawn, right?
Yes. Oh yeah. I played a whole mess of Zero Dawn. I am pretty excited for the remaster. I don't know when I'll get to it. But it's one of those things that I am excited that it will be remastered. I am excited to dive back into that and experience that once again. I definitely, if you can give me that RPG open world, like this or Red Dead or anything like that, where I have just open world to explore and I can just be, my character and dive into that world. Like, I'm all in for it. So the remaster for me is pretty exciting. So like I said, I don't know when I'll get to it, but it's definitely one that's on the list.
Yeah, it looks graphically, I mean, like I said, they brought it up to Forbidden West, and I think that game looks incredible. I never did play that one. I played Zero Dawn for about 20 hours, believe it or not.
Okay.
And then, I know there's a big shocker, Ryan, but then I just kind of fizzled out.
Oh, you didn't finish the game,
Never
huh?
finished it,
weird.
but really enjoyed my time with it, so... yeah, that's basically it for the state of play stuff. I mean, one really big game announcement followed by a lot of other stuff that just looks kind of neat. I don't want to say mediocre because that might not be fair, but if any of these games come out and they start getting, a lot of news or hype behind them, obviously we'll come back to those and touch base on those too. All right, Ryan, we're quickly running out of time, but we did promise the people an Ubisoft story because we love us some Ubisoft around here.
What did they do?
So
they came out with some crazy, new, innovative way to distribute their games?
Yeah. I mean, I know this is crazy, but, it was reported that Star Wars Outlaws, which you and I were both very excited for, and we just that game kind of got put to the back burner because we had Astro Bot and Space Marine 2 and some other games that came out that we were a little bit more hyped for. Star Wars Outlaws didn't do as great as Ubisoft wanted it to do. They're calling it, I think the term they're using is soft sales.
Oh.
So, most things aren't good if they're soft, right?
Yeah, no. Except the pretzel.
Oh, there you go. Hard pretzels are pretty good too, though.
That's true.
So after soft sales, Ubisoft went, we think we have a good game here. What's going on, people?
Yep.
And then the world kind of went, Ubisoft, are you stupid? You made a PC game and then you didn't put it on the platform where every single PC gamer in the world is, which is called Steam.
Oh.
Maybe you've heard of it. Not everybody wants to use your stupid Ubisoft launcher, which is what, Ubisoft Connect?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So Ubisoft went, maybe we should put our games on Steam so that people will buy them. Brilliant plan, I know.
Or even play them. I can tell you personally, when I have any game that's on like Ubisoft platform, I'll click my Steam and I'm like, where the heck is it? And I'm looking for it and I'm like, I got to go back to the launcher, and I go back and do it that way.
Yeah, it's terrible. And then, of course, when you finally realize that, it's on Ubisoft Connect and you go to launch it there, this platform needs an update.
Yep.
Exactly. So not only do you have to update the launcher, now you got to update the game that you wanted to play that's on the launcher that hasn't been updated. So, hey, way to get smart, Ubisoft. I joked at the top of the episode that they made a smart decision. This is a smart one. Guess what? PC gamers, we use Steam.
Yeah.
It's where we get our games, man.
Yep, pretty much.
So they did announce that Outlaws will be coming to Steam. We have heard that the game is really enjoyable. I am still very anxious to hopefully get to play Outlaws at some point this year before we get into some of the later releases that are coming out later this year as well. They also did clarify that Assassin's Creed Shadows was delayed until February 14th. But that will also be releasing on Steam. So I think the trend now is that, hey, we're just going to release everything we make on Steam at this point moving forward. So,
hallelujah. All right.
Yes. Thank you. I know Steam takes a chunk of money, but guess what? We don't care. We're gamers. You deal with it. We'll buy your game, or much more likely to buy your game if it's on the platform that we all use. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps things up for this week in gaming, Ryan. Please remember, if you enjoyed this episode and want more like it, make sure that you click that follow or subscribe button in your podcast app. Please leave us a 5-star review if you enjoyed the content and like the show. And if you want to go further and help support the show, again, that website is multiplayersquad.com. Support starts at only $5 a month, dirt cheap, and you get some really awesome perks like early access, ad-free episodes, some cool Discord perks as well. But you also just get to know that you're really helping this show continue. And we'll also give you a shout out like we did with Ayabhidabidad at the beginning of the episode. All right, make sure you also join that infamous Discord server. The link is in the episode description. Awesome community, dude. We've had a lot of people joining lately.
It's been awesome. It's been continuous and consistent, and then everybody that jumps in always is like, "Oh wow, this is pretty cool." Because when you jump in, one of the big things we always do is, "What's your favorite games? What do you like to play? What's your vibe?" And everyone always answers, and then there's always somebody that's like, Yes, that's me. That's what I like. And they always get into a conversation on what they like, what they play, and where they're at with their kind of gaming career, if you will. So it's so cool to see. It's one of my favorite things every morning to wake up and see. So come in and join. No toxicity, no gruff, just a bunch of fun people that love games.
The thing I love the best about that is that people join and then they say, fine, you guys talked me into it. And then a week later, they're like, dude, you guys were right. Yeah. This place rocks, man.
And they're just pegging the line. They're just like nonstop in every like channel they're chatting. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's it. And I recognize the new names because they're just consistently in there talking. So it's so cool to see because we have our longtime listeners and people that have been in the Discord forever. And then they always just open arms greet anyone that comes in. So it's just so cool.
Yeah. It really is. Like I said, if you are looking for an awesome gaming community, that is our Discord server. It is a unicorn in the world of gaming. So check that out. Again, the link is in this episode description. Make sure you follow us on socials at Video Gamers Pod. We post some cool stuff, upcoming games, some news stories, thoughts, just stuff like that. That wraps this up. Until next time, everybody, and Ryan, happy gaming.
I am Ryan Bourne. See ya.
Oh.